Hello again, folks, and welcome to my new Let's Play of Space Quest 3, the Pirates of Pestulon. Before we start, again, a little background first. Space Quest 3 was a relatively big leap forward compared to the first two games, because, well, when Sierra first started out, their games used the so-called AGI, Adventure Game Interpreter, basically the engine which powered all their early games. But starting from Space Quest 3, that's not to say Space Quest 3 was the very first game, but starting from Space Quest 3, the series then switched to the newer and more advanced Sierra Creative Interpreter, or SCI for short, which was still used 16-color graphics at first, but at a slightly higher resolution, and introduced Sound Blaster and ad-lib support, meaning we finally got proper background music and sound effects. Plus, the early SCI games also had limited mouse control, in that you could control the character with the mouse, but commands and such were still typed in through the good old parser interface. But more importantly, story-wise and in terms of humor, Space Quest 3 is where the series really took off for the better, as you'll see. And also, speaking of the music, they brought in some... Sierra really didn't pull any punches, as the music for Space Quest 3 was composed by none other than Bob Siebenberg of Supertramp, whom I personally am not familiar with. Never really heard much of Supertramp myself, but undoubtedly the music in this game is awesome. So anyway, let's cut short the chatter and jump right in. Right from the start, we're treated to this awesome rendition of the Space Quest theme, which then leads into what has got to be the most awesome theme song of any Space Quest game ever. That right there are Mark Crow and Scott Murphy, the two guys from Andromeda, who, as we will find, are quite vital to this game's story. And there, right at the bottom, Mark Siebert, great guy. He's done a lot of work for Sierra games over the years. It has been an indeterminate amount of time since Roger Wilco rocketed away from Vohal's burning space fortress. Time stands still for our hero in suspended animation. Its engines long spent, the small escape pod drifts aimlessly through unfamiliar star fields, its course altered many times by small asteroids and space debris. Inside, Roger lies undisturbed in his sleep chamber. But not for long. You'll notice right away the improved graphics and the music really make this game all that much better. You just gotta love that good old-fashioned ad-lib sound. In fact, I've always preferred ad-lib over MIDI. Oh, and if you look in the bottom right corner right there, that's Mark Crow's signature. Anyways, as I was saying, ad-lib, for some reason, I've always preferred it over MIDI because it just sounds so much more atmospheric at times. It's especially noticeable in, well, games like these, Sierra's games, and several LucasArts titles like Indiana Jones' Fate of Atlantis and such. The pod, considered to be nothing more than another piece of scrap, is taken aboard a robot-commanded garbage freighter. Unfortunately, these robots have no regard for organics. The small pod is jarred by a sudden shock which triggers the sleep chamber's revive mode. As the glass shroud slides back, Roger slowly begins to regain consciousness.
Where am I?
Now that right there is something that very few players of Space Quest know about. Well, previously it was thought that digital sound effects actually only were in the Amiga version of this game, but it turns out they were included in the PC version as well, and through some special means you can actually play the game with digital sound effects. You notice that the sounds from the pod grow softer until they are imperceptible. Having served its purpose and taxed its resources, the pod gives a final hum and shuts down. So, our new adventure begins. So you'll notice the parser interface this time pops up in a separate box, and while you're typing it freezes the game, so no more getting caught off guard by the Meromatic because I type too slow kind of situations in the future, which is nice. You are standing in a debris-cluttered junk bay. An escape pod rests in the middle of the room. There are chunks of metal lying around which seem to be small sections of old spaceware. Yes, so our first immediate goal is to get out of this freighter. So, let's do some exploring, but before that, you are still carrying the piece of Orium you picked up on Labion during your last adventure. However, it was long since lost its glow. It's nice to see stuff like that get carried over from previous games. You'll notice, by the way, though, in the last game, Roger's boots were purple, but in this game, for some reason, they've turned black. Apparently, Sleep Chamber has that effect on boots. So anyways, as I was saying, let's get exploring. Hang on, I'll turn up the CPU cycles of DOSBox a bit here, because, as you notice, it was loading a bit slow there. But it should be better now. It looks to be another metallic menace whose time has come and gone. Hopefully, fate will be kinder to you. There's a lot of interesting junk lying around. As you'll note, there's a few pop culture references in there as well, but for now, let's check out this tunnel. Notice here, this neat little shadow effect. Graphics in this game really are a huge leap forward from the previous games. In fact, at times they'll really come close to the later games which had 256 color VGA. But anyways, the walls are made of metal. Missing panels reveal old frayed wires. You take the only decent piece of wire available. Never know when that might come in handy. And yeah, as I was saying, pop culture references. Wow, an ancient model of a battle bot. I bet you'd hate to run into whatever brought this guy down. It looks like something poked it in the eye. No, this is probably meant to be a Transformers reference or something, although it doesn't look like any specific Transformer from the original series. Well, the faceplate makes it look kind of like Optimus Prime, I guess. Anyways, it's here that we can run into our very first death as well. And as you know, I love death scenes in these games. Oh gosh, you've stepped off a metallic escarpment and tumbled into the darkness. Twisted, jagged remnants of old vehicles reach out to slow your dark descent, cutting short your life in the process. Deceleration trauma. It wouldn't be so bad, except for the sudden stop at the end. Next time, don't get so close to the edge. Yep. And the SCI era of Sierra also introduced these nifty little death boxes, which always scared the living crap out of me when I was a kid. I mean, some of these pictures, as you'll notice, they tend to get pretty gruesome sometimes, especially in the Space Quest series, because there's an awful lot of blood sometimes compared to other Sierra games, and the music doesn't help either. Anyway, we can trying to navigate around this. Yeah, can climb into this big guy's eye. Some interesting stuff down here. Some old wooden toys, which might look familiar to some of you guys. They look like remnants of an orbital space station, or perhaps some type of toys for an oversized child. Yeah, interesting thought there. And this thing might look familiar to some of you guys as well. It's a cute little thing. You've never seen anything like it in these parts, but then where are these parts? Some writing on its exterior reads, Bowman was here. And if you don't get that reference, you definitely need to watch more classic sci-fi movies. But our immediate attention, of course, is drawn to the ship in the center here. It's a sleek-looking number if you can disregard the junk it's rooted in. It must be a recent addition to the collection, as everything seems to be intact. Etched on each side is the name Aluminum Mallard. On top is a small hatch. Well, you've probably guessed it already, but this thing is our ticket out of here. Except the ship is too slick. You seem to remember an ectomorphic programmer friend telling you about ships with non-stick coating for greater debris collision tolerance. And even if we do manage to get onto the ship somehow, it's missing a few parts, as we'll find. But luckily those are strewn about the freighter. So, that would be great, if only someone had been smart enough to bring a ladder. Yeah. Meant the ladder at the back wall right there, but yeah. So, moving on. I wasn't sure if Roger would continue moving after going on to the next screen. Anyways, one of the parts we need for the ship is right here. The floor is composed of a mosaic of overlapping welded steel plates. The menage of fused metal plates appear to have been cut from a variety of sources. There's a small round object lying nearby. A closer look at the object on the floor reveals that it is a warp motivator. It looks a bit more high-tech than the other junk strewn about this locale. Sturdily constructed, its only protrusion is a modular plug near its base. But, unfortunately, we can't just carry it around. While relatively small, it seems to be quite dense. I think we're looking at a potential hernia if any attempts are made to manually relocate it. So, we're gonna have to find something else for that. And again, a few more pop culture references strewn about. This bulbous craft looks like it has seen a lot of action in its day. You believe it to be a bow-tie fighter dating back to the Cologne Wars. A true relic. Yeah. And keep in mind, this was made before the Star Wars prequels. Star Wars episodes 1 through 3, but the Clone Wars were referenced all the way back in episode 4. This rocket right here. Another fine but worthless Acme product. And again, shadow effects. Really neat. and the Jupiter 2 from Lost in Space, which I myself have never seen, but I've read it's supposed to be from there. This baby must have been floating around out here for a long time. It doesn't hold your interest for very long. Yeah, can't imagine why. Crap, I just saved over this one. Yeah, the saving and loading in SCI games is a bit odd sometimes, because as you'll find, you can't save over other games if you rename them, and you can't manually delete save games either. And for some reason there's a limit of about 25 saves at once. So if you make 25 save, well, I think it was 25, but at least if you try to go over the limit of saves, you need to replace one of your old saves, which it's a bit annoying sometimes. But anyway, well, ship. Well, this thing sticking out of there. Oh, all this place needs is a junkyard dog. You shiver at the thought. Yeah, some early screenshots of the game actually had some kind of green alien junkyard dog creature in this area, but apparently was cut in later releases. Oh, crap. Well, the reason I actually saved the game was because I wanted to show off yet another death scene here. No, saving again for no particular reason. Anyway, get metal. Yo! Yeah, as I was saying, death scenes in Space Wars games sometimes get really gruesome, because here, Roger bleeds to death, spurting blood like a fountain. It's obvious that the metal was sharper than you. The resulting laceration turns you into a living fountain, at least for a few moments. Unfortunately for you, this show was your finale. Good luck in the afterlife. One way to lower your blood pressure: a brave but fatal attempt at arterial art. Yeah, some people believe that death was actually a jab at LucasArts, because at this time LucasArts had adopted their policy of having absolutely no death scenes in their adventure games whatsoever, saying that players shouldn't be punished for trying to experiment in their games, and especially not by trying to pick up something sharp that's just lying around. Which is the exact cause of death right here. Anyway, moving on. You are overwhelmed by the variety of space trash around each corner. A large bucket conveyor carries shredded ships to a horizontal conveyor high above. It's a huge gear. Ooh boy, it's a big one. Somewhere there's an oversized android missing a limb. Yeah, hate to meet the guy that belongs to. Anyways, the only way out right now is up in this thing, which isn't exactly the safest way to go. Going up, slowly but surely. Because here, there's a conveyor belt with a shredder at the end. And sitting around for too long, of course, tends to have less than pleasant results for Roger. Shredded like an Iran-Contra document, your many independent parts flutter to the bottom of the hopper. Oh. It slices, it dices. You're a less than choice cut, Wilco. That went by a little fast anyway. Stand up and jump for dear life. But of course, as soon as we get up here, I simply have to immediately go back down again. You stepped off the rail. You're dead again. Way to go. Haven't we taught you anything? These text boxes go by a little fast sometimes. Oh well. Anyway, moving on over here to the left. Well, a grabber hangs beneath a rail. There's a seat for a driver. There's a claw underneath that looks capable of grabbing things. Hence, why it is called a grabber. Plopping into the seat, you grasp the forward-backward control of the grabber. Now you may remember from the intro, they mentioned the robots on board this freighter had absolutely no regard for organics. And unfortunately that holds true for this guy as well, because if I stick around too long... Ah! Jesus Christ! Ah! Jesus. What the hell kind of a sound effect was that? Well, now I guess I know why they disabled sound effects for the PC version normally. Ah, that was really unpleasant to listen to through my headset. Yeah, you really bit the beam, Buckwheat. And there's that lack of regard for organics in action again. I guess I never heard of the warning shot concept around here. Anyway, you're dead. Hole in one! Hope you enjoy your new flow-through ventilation system. Yeah, like I said, it gets pretty gruesome sometimes. Well, we're only scratching the surface here so far. But anyway, enough fooling around. I'm gonna use this grabber to get a hold of that warp motivator. Now, let's see, it should be around here somewhere. Just, push the button. And the claw should grab hold of it, and we can carry it back to the aluminum mallard. And by the way, the aluminum mallard is an awesome little ship. It's sad that it only appears in this game, though. There we go. One warp motivator ready to go. But yeah, the Space Quest fanbase has really popularized the aluminum mallard as well, because there's nary a fan game in which it doesn't appear. Well, we'll find out later exactly why it is so awesome. Anyway, we're right above it now, so we can drop the warp motivator inside of it. Sensing an adequate surface, the claw releases its cargo and begins the ascent to the grabber unit. The object thuds into place within the cavity of the ship. Good. I'm hoping we won't have to hear that goddamn blasting sound effect again later on in the game, because I'm really not looking forward to enduring that a second time. So we get off and take a leap down here, which, however, is not fatal. Fortunately, you come to a relatively soft landing in a pile of debris. Ooh, scary. But we have nothing to fear, fortunately. Though, You can hear something scurrying around above you. You can actually see the rats because they're hidden in the shadows. Anyway, and here we'll find another part we'll need for the ship. You seem to be in a debris-enclosed hollow. Poking out of the ceiling is the chute which you originally entered through. Some crusty lamps, linked by non-UL approved wire, approve additional illumination. And at the end of this wire is its power source. Some brittle-looking wire runs from lamp to lamp and then disappears into a hole to the left. You peer into the small opening and notice a tiny reactor which seems to be providing power for the lights. You unhook the reactor from the cheap wires and take it with you. Over there is also a ladder, which you might have guessed comes in handy in actually getting on top of the ship. Bending aside a thin piece of scrap, you find an opening into another area, and climb on in. You grab the ladder and jam it into your pocket. Ouch! But unfortunately, Sierra's bad design policies once again rear its ugly head right here. Well, it's not as annoying as some of the things we've encountered so far, but it's still absolutely freaking pointless. Watch. You seem to have been mugged by some type of large rat. As you pick loose fur from your teeth, you notice a less bulky feeling. Yeah, the damn rat took my reactor and my wire. Why? I have absolutely no frickin' idea. And now I have to go and get it back. Have to go and get them back. But the stupid thing is, there's absolutely nothing to stop the rat from stealing my stuff a second time, and yet it only appears this one time. Purely to annoy me. And it's doing a great job at it, I might add. Anyway, back into the hole we go. We'll get the reactor back. And the wire. And once again we get the hell out. Well, not that the rats will kill me or anything. Well, they will kill me if I fall back through the chute and the ladder's not here anymore. Because then, obviously, I won't have a way to escape, and so the rats will simply put me out of my misery. But anyways, now that we have everything, let's get to the mallard and get it running. Da, da, da. If there's one thing Sierra games have in common with each other, it's that most of them have absolutely awesome music. I got a shitload of Sierra soundtracks in my music collection, let me tell you. In fact, if you're interested in obtaining the music, you should check out www.queststudios.com. They have a whole lot of Sierra soundtracks in MP3 format, downloadable, absolutely free, and in excellent quality. Yeah, sorry for the cheap plug there, but it had to be said. Anyway. You notice it to be slick up here. Be careful. Yeah. Gives us fair warning for good reason. Because if I fall off, even though it's only a few feet down, I die. We warned you to be careful. Did you listen? No. Good luck next time. And for some reason, the fall takes half of Roger's face off. Yeah. Anyway, let's climb in. You move into position and grabbing the dull finish of the hatch's handle, commence to open and enter the ship. Ah, the Mallard. I love this place. Anyway, let's check out what she needs. Access denied. Power critically low. Auxiliary reactor not online. Well, it just so happens I'm carrying a reactor with me. You drop the reactor into the hole. In attempting to reconnect the cables, you find that one is much too short. Hence, I picked up the other wire. You carefully connect the wire between the ship and the reactor, putting the tile back in place once you've finished. Systems check in progress. Power level nominal. Auxiliary reactor online. Get some neat little blueprints of the bird. Equipped with all the stuff we'll need to get out of here. Looks like this bird's in good shape. Let's have a seat. Also, searching the seat. Searching around the cushions you find, among variously colored wads of flint, 7 buckazoids. Yes, we'll actually get to use buckazoids in this game again. You are sitting in the pilot's seat of this sporty little ship. In front of you is the control panel, which contains a computer screen. The control panel contains a computer screen. All ship systems are accessed through the pilot's computer. Okay. Well. Fire up the engines. Well, before I do anything stupid, I better save the game again. And trust me, I am the type to do stupid things, because if I take off right now, you feel a strong rumbling as the ship strains to loosen itself from the confines of the junk heap accumulated at its base. Finally, it begins to rise. The ship rises successfully but collides with the top of the freighter. The resulting explosion sends a potpourri of flesh and metal fragments careening in all directions. Learn to drive that thing. Your radar is designed to avoid just such an occurrence. Yeah. It's just like buckling the seatbelt in Space Quest 1. If you forget about it, you die as soon as you try to take off. Well, at least it kills you in the VGA remake. I don't know if it kills you in the original version. I think it just gives you a warning if you try to take off and refuses to let you do so until you actually fasten your seatbelt. Anyway, turn on the radar before we take off. Because that way the ship will actually detect that it's about to collide with the ceiling before actually doing so. Ascent halted due to obstruction. So, let's blast away. The shot blasts a new orifice in the side of the junk freighter. Unfortunately, your inadequately protected ship is struck and subsequently destroyed in the bottleneck of metallic objects striving to pass through the same relatively small opening. It's decompression blues. Sudden decompression sucks. You'll notice a very juicy shot of Roger's innards hanging out of his chest. Like I said, the death scenes get a little overly gruesome sometimes. Anyway, we take off again. This time, I turn on the shields before I actually fire. The pressure generated by the desire of the ship's atmosphere to escape the considerably lower pressure of space causes your ship to be spit out like a watermelon seed. We're free! Now, the shield uses up power, so I'll turn it off for now. We're free. That's what the aluminum mallet is all about. Freedom. Freedom to go wherever the hell we want. There's Ortega, rather hot little planet, which we can't go to right now. Well, we can go there. In fact, let's go there right now. Oh, I accidentally pushed one instead. Planet Fleabot, which we'll be going to next. Monolith Burger. But as I was saying, let's go to Ortega first. Light speed. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Roger, ready to move out. But meanwhile, ooh, ominous. This guy doesn't seem particularly friendly. Oops. Gosh, isn't it amazing how big a spot those space gnats make when you're traveling at light speed? Yeah, no flashy space being bent by warp speed explanation here. It's space gnats being splattered across the windshield. Anyway, we've arrived at Ortega. So, let's land. With a mighty whump, you set the aluminum mallet down on the surface of Ortega. Let's go. My, this is one hot planet. Hopefully you last more than a few minutes. I won't. Anyways, too late, you realize that walking around unprotected on this planet is hazardous to your health. You feel your blood begin to boil. You sizzle into oblivion. This planet wouldn't be so bad if you could keep cool somehow. Sunbathing, not recommended. It's so hot you could fry a Vorlian phlegm snake egg. Yeah, that's pretty much what I meant. Without the proper protection, we're toast. Literally. Well, not even that. Like the game said, we sizzle into oblivion. So, power up the engines and take off again. Next stop. Fleabot. Light speed. This is really part of what makes this game so great, in my opinion. Just the whole freedom of piloting around your own ship. Admittedly, there's only a few limited amount of locations to choose from, but still, it works pretty well in immersing you into the game's universe. Well, we've arrived at Fleabot. Allons-y! But we'll soon find we're not alone on this planet. As you step out of your ship onto the surface of Fleabhut, you are hit in the face by the harsh wind. It looks like a storm is brewing. Meanwhile, another spacecraft touches down elsewhere on the very same planet. Oh, this looks like trouble. Anyway, let's get moving. Although I shouldn't be too eager because Fleabhut isn't exactly the safest place. With giant snakes, for instance. Congratulations on your recent death. Thanks for playing Space Quest 3. As usual, you've been a real hoot. Now, a lot of deaths on Fleabhut give you that message. It's pretty generic and kind of lazy. But, yeah, well, let's keep moving. Anyway, as I was saying, even with that guy who just landed around, this planet is dangerous enough as it is. Like I said, there's the giant snakes, there's a storm in the background, and a few other random perils. That guy, however, is not one of them. You were startled by the sight of a giant beast just beyond the sand dune to the north. But that thing is not entirely as it appears. Nope, it's just a cheap tourist trap. Y'all come back now, you hear? Alien scum. Yeah, sorry, I was just rocking out to the music here. So yeah, the World of Wonders. Aha! A tourist trap! This giant metal fascist mile of a space beast is nothing more than a cheap marketing ploy designed to suck in any moron dumb enough to fall for such trickery. You suddenly feel like a dumb moron. And right outside is a display case. You peer through the glass of the display case and find a cute and cuddly little creature. A small sign on the glass informs you that this is an Antarian slime devil. How cute! Let's go and give it a big hug. Oh, crap. Looks like it's more interested in hugging me. They may be cute, but only an idiot would get near one. Looks like you won't be around to appreciate the other diverse wonders of this garden spot of the universe. Now, this is just beyond lazy. They didn't even come up with a original picture here. They just put Roger there for some reason. Anyways, it's about time I wrap this up. So, join me next time and we'll take a look inside the World of Wonders and meet its proprietor. So, I'm Amayirot Akago, thanks for watching and goodbye for now.